Elias stared at the black screen where the live feed should have been, his chest tightening as his breathing turned shallow. With 50,000 viewers waiting and 30 seconds on the clock, the panicked eyes of his entire team turned to him. That black screen had been glowing green only a minute before. Now the main monitor in the control room showed nothing but a small white error line, blinking slow, like it had all the time in the world. Around it, 6 other screens still worked. A speaker on the main stage kept talking to an audience that could no longer see or hear him. And here's the thing about that room. It was small. Too small. Cables ran across the floor like roots. The air felt warm and used up. On the far wall, above the door, a red countdown clock kept dropping. 29. 28. Elias pressed both hands flat on the desk. He could feel his own pulse in his fingers. For 3 months, his team had built toward this one broadcast, the opening session of an international online summit, watched from more than 40 countries. And now, in the last half minute, the thing they feared most had arrived. His first reaction came fast, before he could think. He spun toward the row of young technicians behind him and asked, in a voice climbing higher with every word, who had touched the server. His hand cut through the air. He asked it again, louder. Who changed the settings? Who was on this machine last? Nobody answered. A young woman near the audio board opened her mouth, then closed it. Her hand hovered over her keyboard and stopped there, frozen. The technician beside her looked down at his own screen and pretended to read something. And the truth was simple. Though Elias could not see it, yet none of them were looking for the problem anymore. They were only looking at him. Fear began to move through the room. It spread from one person to the next, and no one gave it permission. Elias's fast breathing, his sharp voice, the way his eyes jumped from face to face, searching for someone to blame, all of it spread out from him and touched every person there. One technician's leg started bouncing under the desk. Another kept typing the same command over and over, getting the same failure each time, unable to stop. 20 seconds. Elias leaned over the shoulder of the nearest young man and demanded a status. Right now. The man's fingers shook. He tried to speak and the words came out tangled. Elias made a frustrated sound and pushed away, pacing restlessly from one side of the room to the other, unable to stand still. He was everywhere in the room, and helping in none of it, and somewhere in the middle of that motion, something small caught him. It was the face of the youngest technician, a boy who could not have been more than 22. He was staring at Elias with wide, still eyes, his hands lifted slightly off the keys, waiting. Not waiting for instructions, waiting to see how afraid he was allowed to be. He was reading Elias's panic like a set of orders. That look stopped Elias cold. Because he had seen it before. 2 years earlier, a different broadcast, a smaller crash. Back then he had shouted, he had pointed, he had chased blame around the room, and the show had gone dark for 11 full minutes, while a frightened team fumbled in his shadow. The memory arrived all at once, sharp and unwelcome. He suddenly understood that his own fear was doing more damage than the broken server ever could. So he did the one thing that felt impossible in that moment. He stepped back, just one step, away from the desks, away from the blinking error line. He turned his face toward the wall for a breath. 15 seconds. He let his shoulders drop. He pulled one slow breath in through his nose and held it, the way he had taught himself to do after that night 2 years ago, and he let it out even slower. It was maybe 2 seconds of quiet, but in his own body, something shifted. His heartbeat was still fast. His hands were still cold. The fear had not left him. He had simply decided to stop handing it to everyone else. When he turned back to the room, he was a different kind of leader. He lowered his voice, not soft, but steady, flat, and sure. He stopped searching for who broke it. Instead, He asked one clear question to the whole team. What backup options did they have? Right now. This second. The change in the room was almost instant. A question about blame had frozen them. A question about solutions gave them somewhere to put their hands. The young woman at the audio board looked up. She said the secondary encoder was still live on the local network. The boy who had been staring, the frightened one, suddenly remembered they had a recorded backup stream ready as a safety measure. His voice was thin, but he was talking now. He was working. Elias nodded and kept his tone level. 10 seconds. He pointed calmly to the woman and asked her to bring the secondary feed up. He asked another technician to warn the stage manager to hold the speaker for a moment. No shouting. Just short, clear steps, one at a time, each one landing in a room that could finally hear him. Fingers moved across keyboards. Not the frozen, repeating motion from before, but real work with a real target. Someone counted down under their breath. The error line on the main monitor blinked one last time, and then the screen filled with color. The speaker on stage appeared, mid-sentence, steady, as if nothing had happened at all. 5 seconds to spare. The room let out a breath it had been holding as one body. The boy laughed, a shaky, relieved sound, and dropped his head onto his arms. The woman at the audio board pressed a hand to her chest. And nobody, anywhere in that room, could have told you who had touched the server first. It no longer mattered. Later, when the summit ended, and the monitors went dark on purpose this time, Elias sat alone in the quiet control room for a while. He thought about those 30 seconds. The server had crashed on its own. That was not the real crisis. The real crisis had started the moment his own fear filled the room and froze the very people who could fix it. And it ended the moment he took one breath and changed the question he was asking. Because here is the thing he finally understood, sitting in that empty room. In a crisis, a leader's calm is not a feeling. It is a gift given to the people around them. Emotions reach a team long before words do. Panic spreads, but so does steadiness. A team will always breathe at the same speed as the person they are watching.